All right, so we have Chris here, and tell me your last name again, I'm sorry. McLean. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then I'll just let you talk to us. And
Okay.
oh, actually, if you just use that microphone up there.
Okay. Hello. Hi, Chris. I'm Chris McLean. I recently moved to Paulsbo. I lived in just north of Austin, Texas for 21 years before moving here. 4 of those years I lived in Swaziland. I was a individual United Methodist volunteer in mission. I stayed on the grounds of St. Paul's Methodist Church. Why is this not coming up? There it comes. And I was in the orphanage where you are going to work, and so I'm really happy to come share with you Swaziland a little bit. So first, this is some pictures of Swaziland coming in to Swaziland. So when you come in from South Africa, you're going to come in through a border. Ashik on the South African side, it's called Mboya on the Swazi side. So you will have to do your passport thing there. And I'm sure that the South African minister that is going with you, I understand, is that correct, Tony?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So he will guide you through that. Then there's a highway, the only 4-lane highway from the border down to Manzini. That's as far as it goes. There are some 2-lane highways that go in various directions, not a lot of them. The rest of that is, except in the towns, is dirt roads. So this is part of the highway down. We're actually this picture is me driving from Maban, which is the capital of Swaziland. And that's where like the U.S. Embassy is, and a lot of, it's a lot more business. It's a lot more modern than Manzini is. Then coming down the road, actually, I think we just probably passed it around in here, is Ezulini, and that is the governmental seat of Swaziland. And that's where they do a lot of the ceremonial, cultural ceremonial things. And going on down, you just keep following the road down very carefully to Manzini. Are you going to be driving or renting?
We're renting a bus, and the minister from South Africa is driving.
Okay. I'll send him a few
tips.
Warnings. That's good. You won't have to worry about that. This is actually a picture of a street leading up to, not from Manzini, but up north of Manzini. See this water tower there? Mm-hmm. That's at the corner by St. Paul's Methodist Church. And from various parts in Manzini, you can see that water tower. So it's kind of a, landmark. Yeah. These red brick buildings here, this is the high school, St. Paul's Methodist High School. There are some teachers' quarters in the center, which is where I live, and then there's the St. Paul's Methodist Primary School, and then the church grounds. St. Paul's is called the Mission Church for the circuit. There's 3 circuits in Swaziland. And I will say the Central Circuit, which is what St. Paul's is the most organized of the 3. They also have in their circuit really the most organized and probably educated community, because they include Manzini, they include some other parts versus most of the other schools are more in the outlying areas of Swaziland. If someday you want to learn about that, I'll be happy to come back and tell you.
You're saying St. Paul's, but am I right, if I remember from the email, I thought it was St. Joseph Methodist Church no, it's St. Paul. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a St. Joseph's. It's a Catholic church.
Okay.
And it's got a sort of a school for handicap.
That's right. That's where I'm getting it mixed up from. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Are you going there? Or?
No, I'm just talking to the microphone so they're There was a lady who was going to go with us to do some speech therapy, or to see if it was needed while we were there. And they said that that's where I'm hearing remembering St. Joseph's from. They said St. Joseph's is the one that kind of does work with children with disabilities. So they didn't want to coordinate all that.
Right. It would not be a feasible thing for you because of the distance and where it is, especially if you only have one vehicle. The answer is, they really don't have decent handicap facilities of any kind anywhere.
Okay.
But yeah. So this is like what this is actually a road. It's a good road. It's through one of the lumber farms. I think this was actually in South Africa, going from Swaziland to South Africa. But just a little more. This is more of the rural countryside. This is a lot of what the road out in the rural area is like. This is actually, I believe, a picture of what they call Execution Rock, and it's in Ezzelini. And that was another thing. I don't know what they have planned for you on your off time or what your off times are, but there are some interesting places that I'll suggest. If you have time, you can get to them, but they're worth it. Is there a lot of elevation? I mean, are you Mabon is, I think, 3,600 feet. Manzini's around 2,200 feet. And then when you go to the Lowveld, well, this is still considered kind of Lowveld, but because Johannesburg is 5,000 feet. Then when you get to the eastern southern border of Swaziland, it's pretty much, zero or just a couple hundred feet. That's where the malaria zone is, and you aren't going to be going anywhere near that. So, now this is a few more pictures of rural life in Swaziland, and I don't know that you'll get much of a chance to see it and there's really not a lot to see, I guess, else. But typical roads through the these are roads I traveled on all the time. When you're out in the rural area, they're pretty much going to have little tiny stores like that, or they could even be little stores like this. This is a little church, and they're having a celebration. Actually, they built a new building, and this was them still preparing the meal for the celebration under the tree and the old church. You will see if they do any, this is still how they cook a lot. And even when they have church dinners and stuff, they'll all bring their pots in, and everything is cooked on these pots over open fire. So you may, I don't know what your meal plans are, but you may be having, I would think, especially lunch, if they're preparing lunch for you, they might cook it in a pot. I will say that I've eaten food cooked this way. They're fair that they normally serve, and I haven't hit a sick.
What is a typical meal?
Typical meal, I'm assuming they'll feed you a little differently. Typically, like at the schools for lunch, they'll cook maybe rice, usually mealie meal. And mealie meal is maize, corn, but it's not sweet corn like ours. It's a tougher corn. And they cook it up into like a thick mashed potato consistency. Kenya, I think they do it a little differently. I've noticed different countries cook their maize differently. But this is like a thick mashed potatoes. And often they'll serve some kind of like sugar beans over it, or like pinto beans, whatever, I don't know what you would call them here, with a light little gravy. And that's usually, a lot of times they'll serve, you probably won't get this, you probably won't get a lot of vegetables there, I'm just kind of warning you. But often at church functions, especially for elders, which would be considered, there would usually be like a green salad, a simple green salad. They serve beetroots, beet. They serve coleslaw. They serve potato salad. And, it's just usually potatoes, with mayonnaise. So I generally avoided that because there's not refrigeration in a lot of places. Fried chicken or boiled chicken, they serve a lot.
Is the meat good? I mean,
Yeah, I've always eaten it. And it's always cooked in a pot. It's either deep fried in a pot, or it's boiled in a pot. So, and they will be particularly, I would think, careful for you. I will recommend, which I'm sure they already have planned, that you do drink nothing but bottled water. If you're in a restaurant in Esselini, if you're in an American or European type restaurant in Manzini, which I can give you a couple places, it's okay to drink the water there because it is on city water and it's usually not a problem. Though for teens, we usually recommend stick to bottled water because, you're not there for a very long time in case
and is it readily available?
No, you're going to have to buy it in certain grocery stores and you're going to have to take it with you. So that was usually, I hosted 5 or 6 teams while I lived there, and that was usually the biggest bulk of our purchase was bottled water. You can buy like 5-gallon jugs and take your own water bottle and fill it. It's a little more cost effective and environmentally safe if you all don't mind doing that. I had a team that didn't like it because maybe somebody's bottle, rim touched the rim of the water, and so.
Or what about like for showering? Is that kind of without water iffy?
No, if you have water to shower, which you probably will, and I say probably because things go out all the time there. It's not like here. Although I noticed in Poulswell, electricity and everything go out all the time too. I like them in Africa, but you should be able to have a shower, and it should be fine.
But when you shower, just don't gargle with the water, or when you brush your teeth, make sure you use bottled water rather than...
I would. Yeah, I would.
And one more question about food. Sometimes when it's not cooked and it's like salad, and maybe they wash it. One of the things that we had to ask when we were there for 2 months was, was the salad washed with tap water, or was it washed with?
Well, see, and that's where it's, because of where you're staying, it's dicey.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'd like to find a little more out about what those plans are from, I keep forgetting his name, but...
Charlie. Well, the plan is, he's done the whole menu, and he's buying all the food in from what I understand, in South Africa, taking it in, and the church is preparing it there, and we're doing our meals at the church.
Okay. Then it's okay because they are on city water, and I'm eating there, and they know to wash it really well. I've watched them prepare the food. They do have refrigeration at the church,
Okay.
and they actually do have stoves too. They don't use them real often because it's very expensive to use electricity or propane to cook.
And if we're at the church, we can drink the water there at the church?
I would probably still drink bottled water, but as far as washing lettuce, that would be okay there.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you,
Okay.
These are some of the houses that you might see. I just want to kind of give you a little flair for the country. You'll see, out in the rural areas, you often, and usually they aren't this big, they're smaller, but those are actually made out of rocks, just put in between, as you can see, poles of a certain tree, and it's just stuff. It's dirt floor. May have windows, and the windows may have glass in them, or they may have wood in them, and if they're wood, they may open like a shutter. A lot of times they'll have corrugated roof. And as you can see, they've got lots of stuff on it to hold the roof down. This is actually a homestead of a chief in one of the areas where we built a school. And so as you can see, just because you're a chief, yeah, you have a lot better level of housing, but you're not necessarily rich. The houses around St. Paul's, because you're in the city and you're in a wealthier part of Manzini, not the wealthiest, but, well, depends. You don't have to go very far enough to be out in that, but you have to have money to be able to have a house in that area. So your houses will be better than this. This is actually my house that I stayed at. It was a one-bedroom flat. I had, right on the grounds, this right here was a community soccer field, and right facing me was the primary school. I got my water from a borehole. You'll see lots of green tanks around, and that's where they store water. They either have it shipped in by truck and fill the tank, and it's expensive, or if they have enough money to have a well, they call them boreholes, then it goes up and you use that. So I had a filter on my water to filter it out because there were issues with that borehole.
What were your bathroom facilities? Like you showers?
Wait a second, I got two questions.
I said the hot water. Do they have a lot of hot water so when you're taking showers?
You may not be able to get hot water for showers. And if you do, it'll probably run out very quickly because they call them geysers, but that's their hot water tanks. They're not as big as ours, and they're not as efficient as ours. And electricity does tend to go out fairly often at certain times. I mean, hopefully it won't go out at all while you're there. So, yeah, you're going to have to take kind of short showers and schedule them, try to stagger them. And then what was your question?
The toileting facilities.
St. Paul's has toilets, flushing toilets. And I would make sure that if that's where you eat breakfast, you make sure you use them before you leave. If they're orphanage where you're working, I do not know what their bathroom facilities are, but my guess is don't be surprised if they're alleys. So,
More than a hole in the floor?
I would hope so. I would think so.
Might not be.
Might not be, but chances are it's, I don't want to go too far, probably keep getting too far away from the mic. Probably it'll be a cement commode of some sort that goes over a pit. I would think you would at least have that level. But, and they might even have a flushing toilet inside. I don't know.
Is it going to be humid there?
No, it's winter there. Dress in layers. It could very well be 70 or 80 during the day, but it's going to be cold at night. And there is no heat. So don't count on air conditioning or heat.
61 there right now.
Well, it's night right now.
And it's raining.
And that's another thing that you will see the effects of global warming there because just like here, you can't say anything is normal. It used to be extremely normal to ever rain at this time of the year. But, you never know. This is these are the other examples of homesteads, just so you can see. This is a step up from the first home I showed of just the sticks and the stones because they've covered it with mud. Often these will have tarps over the top because the grass loses it has to be a special kind of grass, and it loses its ability to repel the water after so many years, and people can't afford to buy new, so they'll strap a tarp down. They still use the grinders, the old grinders to grind up their maize. They grow their own maize out in the fields. The chief gives them the land that they live on, and gives him the pasture, well not really pasture, they don't, the field to grow their maize.
So they don't own anything?
Pardon?
People don't own anything?
In town, those houses are bought there are places in Swaziland where the land can be bought and sold, but it's mainly in cities. And I think the corporations, they have sugar farms and they have timber farms and some citrus. And those might be owned by the companies. I don't know about that. But
Are those companies controlled by the monarchy?
they are allowed in by the monarchy.
What happens if someone in one of these abodes falls out of favor with the chief?
This is kind of, the land is passed down.
So, but it can't be taken away from them, or?
No. Now, if they leave, and this is okay, I don't know how much you've done as far as research on the statistics of Swaziland, but Swaziland is the country with the highest HIV rate, which means there are a lot of OVCs, which is orphaned and vulnerable children. And often what happens is either the parents have passed away or the parents have run off to go work in the city and they've left the kids with the grandmother, and the grandmother passes away. The community, unfortunately, if they don't want those kids there, if they don't like that family, they will force them off their homestead, especially if there's no adult to stick up for them. And then others will take it. And the chief is supposed to protect that. They don't always do it. This is St. Paul's. Looks a little different now. I mean, only because they painted that this weird kind of light. It's like green color. It's kind of weird. I think they bought whatever paint was on sale. But that's St. Paul's, the main worship area. This is inside. This is not the current pastor, but this was the one before it. Reverend Yomeka. These are the stewards, or also local pastors. And these are Mignano. And in this picture particularly, it's not a good picture of her, but this is my sister, Toko Kumalo. She used to be not only St. Paul's, but also Central Circuit and Swaziland's CCS, which was Community Social Services, I think. And Mignano is the UMW of the Black African Methodist churches. And they wear this uniform. You'll see on Thursdays, you'll see women going around and they'll have different uniforms on, similar but different colors for different churches. And it's Thursday's Women's Ministry Day. And
Do you think they'll have us go to church on Thursday?
no, I rarely was even invited to attend the Mignano meeting. So this is their uniform. This is my friend Toko, and this is my other sister that helps us, Tinny. And she takes care of 4 grandchildren, lives with her. Toko helped both these ladies, but especially Toko. She worked side by side for me the whole 4 years and taught me so much. And she runs our ministry while I'm here. Downtown Manzini, so you can see it's, actually, I'm surprised at how good the streets look. But, yeah, it's got some modern stores. This is a shopping mall there. And this grocery store, if you're staying where I think you're staying, is only about 2 blocks down.
Safe to walk there during the day?
In groups during the day.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not a super spar anymore, it's a pick and pay. Very modern, and that's where I did all my shopping. That's where I did all the shopping for the teens. There's another shopping center as you come into Manzini that's new and real modern. It's got a pick and pay in it, and it's got more Americanized and Europeanized food probably in there. It's also more expensive, just to let you know. There is a shopping store in this mall called ShopRite where more of the locals shop because it's a little cheaper. But I would go to a pick and pay. I mean, I would shop at ShopRite for the food. We get some food to some kids because it's cheaper and right next to the hospital. But I wouldn't go there for myself, other than Staples. This is the bus rank, and I'm sure you're going to be driving through and seeing it, and I just have to kind of show you and warn you. It's a zoo, which is the bus rank, which is the bus terminal in any African town. They're just driving nuts. This is supposed to be one lane in each direction. This was a Saturday morning. I was driving down, and I just kind of laughed, and was like, this is Africa. So you got to watch out for it. It's a treat to watch. A little scary, but a treat. So now finally, here's Zongwe. Zongwe means like to care for. Yeah, I think it's an expression that encompasses a behavior, because a lot of times the schools will have a fee in their school fees to feed the children, and they'll call it the Zongwe fee. So it's to care for others that don't have. And they might have changed the name, but I still hear them talking about it as Zongwe. So.
Yeah, can you tell them about just what you told me about the history, about how it was owned by one lady, and then
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell
Okay.
you next. This lady here, which you can't see, her name is Gogo, which means grandma, Similani. Her husband was actually a U.S. ambassador from Swaziland, and they lived in the United States for several years and years ago. She has got to be in her early to mid-90s. I can't remember if she was the exact age as my dad or a few years younger. And I've noticed she's showing her age. She's getting around a lot slower. And I think because she started this one and a Zongwe for girls in another city. Back in, I think, like the 40s, long time ago. And just small, tiny homes. And I think because she knows, her years are numbered, she gave the orphanage to St. Paul's. So that's why it's now a St. Paul's project. This pastor was because St. Paul's is the mission church for the circuit. He's actually called the superintendent because he's the superintendent of the circuit. And this was the one that was superintendent when I came. Sikambuzo Ngama. And he was a very missionary-oriented person. I will also say he was not very good at managing money at all. But he had a big heart. And wonderful man. Taught me so much about the African culture. It was a pleasure working with them. And these were the kids that were there at this time. I think that's probably me back there. And that was probably the cook. I don't know. So there's only boys. I think 12 to 15 boys, I'm guessing. This was their bunk room. And I don't remember if they had 2 bunk rooms or only 1. I'm thinking there was only 1. And each kid had a box they kind of made to put their stuff in. Actually, I hadn't remembered because I was here in 2007 with Sikambuzo. And so I kind of couldn't remember. I just remembered the memories of being new to Swaziland and not really seeing that much, of thinking, and now that I look back and I think, well, it's not so bad. This is the kitchen where the kids eat at the table. That's their stove, so and this is, they have a garden to grow their own food. I hope they're growing food. And I don't remember what that little shack was for. It's the only pictures I took of that.
I can show you. The pictures now look a lot different.
I would guess they would after so many years.
It looks pretty bad. So.
That's what I said. I suspect it's pretty bad. Because they haven't had the money to fix it. And she gave the orphanage to the church, but she didn't give any money to the church. So, and maintenance is not in the Swazi culture, Swazi thinking. It is not. I think part of that is because they're a little used to foreign aid. They don't need to repair anything. First of all, anything you get from used to do maintenance on. It's always new. And so it's just not in their culture. On the other hand, there will be some industrious people that will figure out how to fix anything. I used to work on computers before at IBM for years ago, and I watch some of the stuff they do, and I just kind of cringe when they make it work. So there are some very industrious Swazis, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my thing. So these are some things I kind of wanted to go over with you, because I want you to have a good and a safe trip. And I want to start with something that the bishop said. Here. Which reminded me, when I went to South Africa first. I worked in a township in 2004. Went back in 2006, worked with the HIV/AIDS child care unit in 2006. And between 2004 and 2006, I took Stephen ministry. And I realized that's what the Lord wanted me to take. And so when I was there in 2006, I heard the call to go. And I thought I was going back to that nice little place, but I didn't. But I needed to have that skill of not only listening, but discerning what people are telling you. Because you're going to get a lot of sob stories. And not all of them, it's just like here. Some of them are true. And probably most of them are true. But it's their country and their way of life. And we think it's horrible. And yet, in some ways, they can have a better life than we do. But they see what all we have and what we, as Americans especially, but also Europeans and the people that have stuff, have brought in. The other thing is, the thing from my unvent training that stuck out the most is when you start giving out anything, and that could be a piece of candy, it could be a pencil, anything, the relationship changes. So, and that is so true. So if you can go and work side by side in whatever you've brought to give out, just to give, save it for the end, that's the best. Because then you actually can have more of this relationship type and get to know more about them and have more interaction. And it's a completely different thing. I went almost a year and a half before I really started giving stuff out, just listening and learning. And that's where Toko was one of the people, and Sikamuza were priceless. Once I started funding things, relationships changed everywhere. Before that, I could go visit any of the schools, I could talk to them, I could find out what's going on, I could, have some sort of a relationship. As soon as I went and started, giving things out, every time I went, it was, I need this, I need this, I need this. And so
who would you suggest we give the things that we're taking?
Well, we've always suggested that at the end, and, we'll talk through this, that you give it to a pastor. It goes through someone. I always had, like when I was there and I had teams that gave it to me, and I gave it to, either I gave it out or I gave it to Toko to give out. Because she was CCS at that point. I imagine most of what you're bringing is for the orphanage, but still.
Yeah, we asked them what they needed, and so whoever's in charge there, I guess at the orphanage, I'll ask Charlie about this, but we'll just leave everything with him, and probably, we're taking some stuff that is, kind of, they ask for like sports equipment, toys kind of things, so soccer balls, volleyball net, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Rather than pull it out to play with them while we're there, we'll just keep it all and give it to them at the end, so we don't break that covenant of giving stuff out. The other thing,
you can give, you can take a soccer ball out and play with them.
Okay.
Just don't let them know you have more.
Okay.
And that's what we would do. Teams would come in, take out, what you needed for that day. Especially wash your tools, gloves, anything. Really watch them, because they will disappear. But then on the last day, usually we would have a big kind of handing off ceremony. And usually they would prepare a big meal for us, the team. And that's where we would, not always everything that we brought, but that's where maybe like we'd give each of the kids a toy or, whatever. We usually, it just depended, but that's where we would do it at the very end.
And I will say, what I've said to teams before, and I think I've said this to you all, but if you make a relationship with one person there, and you go to the grocery store and you see something and you think, oh, that would be nice to get for that person, don't do that.
Do not do that. And also be very careful of your information that you give out. It's really recommended that you not give out any personal information about yourself, because you will get requests. You will get requests for money. You will get requests for sponsorship, and you'll get all kinds of stuff from people you don't even know. In this world of electronics anymore, it's just a safety thing to protect you more than anything. And you'll kind of know if there's someone. You can always start by, I don't know, you just got to be careful. Just be real careful.
Tony talked about a lot of our clothes maybe we would give to them. Is that when we leave?
No, that's fine. Once again, that's what I would probably give to the Manano, because then they do go take ministry where they take clothing out to people, and of course mainly women and children. But teens all do that. Yeah, they all do that. But it's really important not to, what Tony said, and thank you because I forgot about that. Don't give someone specifically a pair of shoes or a watch, or go to the store and buy them something, because it can put that person in harm. Do not give anyone money. Even a quarter of U.S. money could put that person in harm. And so, John Wesley, number one, do no harm. And so that's what you really have to think about, is we think we're giving, and we as Americans are the biggest givers in the world. But the hardest thing is you have to realize sometimes it's harmful. Because a little kid could have a new pair of shoes, and he could be the target then of, being mugged and having them stolen. You just don't know. So it's best.
Can I say one more thing also? I forgot to tell you all this, but when you wear clothing, don't have clothing that has anything written on it, is what we were told in Kenya, particularly if it has a brand name on the outside of it. What do you think about that in Swaziland?
Well, I would recommend that you not take anything expensive. Good, wearable, but not anything expensive. The main reason we would say not to have stuff written on your shirt is it could be seen as derogatory to them. So, the big brand names is probably not a good thing to show, and it's mainly for when if you're going to leave that, and it gets given away, or you could be a target to have it stolen. So, yeah, it is a good thing. And it's winter time, so you don't have to worry about it, but if you go to church at St. Paul's on Sunday, which I don't know if you're there over Sunday, but if you are, I'm sure you'll go to church there, ladies must wear dresses. You will see kids there that are in slacks or teenagers, but out of respect, we as Americans should wear dresses. They do not need to be long, but you do need to cover your knee when you sit.
Are skirts okay?
Pardon? Skirts are okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, I said interchangeable. Yeah.
If we gave money for the offering, what should we do about that?
I usually didn't go over like 100 rand. 100 rand is like $10. Right? Well, I don't know what the exchange rate was. The last time I was there it was 10 to 1. But it can be as low as 6 to 1. So I haven't looked at it.
It's still, last I looked was just a week or so ago, 10.42 grand.
Okay, which is good, really good. So, if you're going to give a bulk, give it at the end or more quietly, I guess.
So is the rand widely used, or should we use?
The rand is, in Swaziland, You can use rand, which is the South African money, or you can use Imolangeni, which is the Swazi money. And you will get change in both. They'll probably give you a lot of change in rand, especially the change, if they have it, because they want to get rid of it. You will not be able to spend South African rand in coins in Swaziland, because they don't want to deal with it. But when it gets slipped in, that's when they're going to try and get it back to you. However, it's best if you can use rand as much as possible in South Africa or in Swaziland, because then if you have any to take with you, you've got it for when you go to Kruger, because you can't use the Imolangeni when you leave. So
is the money quite different looking, or is it really?
It's very different looking.
Okay.
The exchange rate is the same, and you can exchange them in Swaziland for the same. So, yeah. So that brings me, I'm going to jump down here to ATM usage. You can use an ATM card there. I withdraw all my money from an ATM card, and interestingly enough, I only get a $1.50 ATM charge. If I use it, but that's mine. I don't get any international charges. So it's, for me, with my bank, it's cheaper if I use an ATM card to withdraw money there.
What bank?
Well, I bank out of a credit union in Texas. So
Check with your bank.
yeah, check with your bank and notify your bank that you're going to be in South Africa and Swaziland.
And
They've gotten real, and your credit cards, yes, they've gotten real tough on that, which is good, stopping. If you do use an ATM, use it only at a bank, or at like Pick and Pay to buy groceries, something like that. Do not use it at a gas station. Do not use it anywhere else but at a bank. There's a standard bank if you stay at Caritas, just about 2 blocks up, and you can walk there during the day. That's one of the places I would go. And you need to go to a window that would say international transaction. But don't go anywhere else to use your ATM card.
How much of an oddity are we going to be if we, 2 or 3 of us walk up to the bank, in broad daylight, are we going to get stopped on the street?
You know what? Just by the nature of who you are, you're going to be an oddity. Not an oddity, but they're going to
stand out. But are we going to be approached, or?
Probably, but I as myself is approached, and you will be safer in numbers. So yeah, they're going to know, and you will be approached a lot. I had to learn to say no. That was the hardest thing about being a missionary, is saying no. I have a mission. You have a mission where your money is going, and it's really hard. But no, it's mission season there. There are mission teams there from you're going to find lots of teams of Americans, especially. Europeans tend to like to come in the fall more. But
Is it best not to take all your cash with you from here, rather just wait till you get there and then use the ATM machine?
well, it depends. It depends on how you can. I would take some cash. It depends on how you exchange your money. You got to talk about that as a team. I always have a little bit of cash that I bring back with me every year, and I take back every year to get me going and get me through the places until I can get to an ATM. You can use the ATM in the airport. It's right outside where you come out of customs to get some cash right away. That's up to you. However you want to handle it.
That's what we did in Kenya, was just, we didn't take money with us. We just, as soon as we got to the airport, would use an ATM, and then just to not have a lot of cash on us.
Yeah, that's what I do, and that's what I recommended.
Now, if somebody,
I gotta say, it depends on how comfortable you are with using ATM. I've had a couple team members that
really never used an ATM when they were in the States, so they kind of freaked out about it.
I never either. So
Yeah, so you might want to bring some cash and maybe somebody can exchange it, or you can go to the bank and exchange it. The bank that I'm telling you about in Manzini, that is, I think, the only branch in Manzini that, or that brand, that does exchange of cash. So you have to look for certain places for that as well. You were going to say something?
Well, I was going to say, like with Callie or even Marlene, if you want to tell your parents that you can make the deposit into one of our banks so that you can access your money if you don't want to take all your money with you,
So I'm going to go back up to the start. Electronics. If you do not need to take it, do not take it, because we cannot guarantee that even if it's going to be secure, whether it's in a car, the bus would have to be locked or monitored at all times. Even if you were in one of the better hotels, it's a little dicey. So if you don't have to take a smartphone or a laptop or anything, don't. And the other thing is, they use 240 power there, so whatever, appliances you might want to take. Hair dryers, Revlon has a hair dryer for travel. It's a small one, and it does have a switch so that you can turn the switch to 240 or leave it on 110 for hair. Check if your electronics, check if you are taking a smartphone or a laptop. Usually it'll tell you, laptops are usually, and smartphones usually, they automatically adjust. So it's not a problem. Curling irons probably aren't, but you look at the fine. I have a friend who is there with Adventures in Mission, and she's had a ministry for years of teaching rural women how to sew. Matter of fact, my bag is one of her bags, a little pouch I have your phone in, her ladies make. And each lady, you can grab it and pick it up. Each lady, they keep track of how many of whatever she sews.
This one too?
And Julie pays them the money so one person, if they sell 50, they get paid for 50 bags. If they only sew 10, they only get money for 10. Whether she sells them or not, they get their money. She, of course, sells them for a markup, but all that money goes back into that ministry. And I'm going to try to get in touch with her. She has, in her garage now, she has a little shop. And I'm hoping in the evening you all can go by and support her ministry and say hi for her. And I might say, bring me back a bag. I'll pay that.
How much would the big bag cost?
Oh, gosh. I think that's... she also has a website you can buy them through the United States, which they're a little more expensive here. I think that was like $15 US. So, and the little purse was like maybe $5. So they're very, very reasonable, and they make great gifts. And I often will buy them and bring them back and sell them. And they have other things as well, a lot of other things. The Swazi Cultural Center, which I spelled wrong, I just see. Is in Eswalini, and if you can go there, which the timing, is going to be a consideration. You might have to knock off early one day, depending on the times of their shows. But they'll show you what a traditional cultural Swazi village is like. They'll explain what all the huts are and why they're there. And they also have Swazi dancers doing the cultural Swazi dance. And it's a fun place to go. It's right next to Mantenga Falls, which is just a slight little hike from there, or, if you want, it's beautiful falls. Execution Rock is in that same area. That's the mountain. And that's a bit of a hike to get up, so I don't, know how much you want to do that. But to get to Mantenga Falls, you go into the Milani Game Reserve. And there you can see and you can walk amongst zebras, impala,